You're tired, but you can't rest. You're tired, but you can't rest. You finish work, but your mind doesn't switch off. Small things irritate you more than they should. You care less. You feel foggy. But you tell yourself, I just need to push through. What if that's not you being disciplined? What if that's the beginning of your burnout? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 early warning signs of burnout, the subtle ones that high performers tend to ignore, and what to do before it spirals into something much harder to recover from. Because burnout doesn't happen overnight, it whispers first. And let's catch it early. You're listening to Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. Now, we're 180 episodes in, so how many times have I said that burnout isn't a personal failure? It's not laziness, it's not weakness, and it's not simply being just stressed. Burnout is what happens when your nervous system absorbs more pressure than you can sustainably process for too long. It's chronic stress without recovery. And here's the problem. The early signs don't look dramatic. They look normal. Everyone tells you they seem normal, but that's why they're dangerous. So let's break them down. What are the early signs of burnout? The first sign is the exhaustion that sleep just doesn't fix. You wake up tired, not just sleepy. You have this tiredness in your bones. You can get 7 or 8 hours, but it doesn't feel restorative. You rely more on substances like caffeine, all the energy drinks and coffee. You hit snooze more often. And weekends don't fully reset you anymore. You're just as tired on Monday morning as you were leaving on Friday. This is usually the first whisper. And here's what's happening. When your stress becomes chronic, your body keeps cortisol levels elevated. That's the primary stress hormone. Cortisol is useful in short bursts, but when it stays high in our bodies for weeks, even months, your nervous system gets stuck in low-grade fight or flight response. And when that happens, your body can't enter deep recovery states, even when you go to sleep. So technically, you're closing your eyes, you're falling asleep, but you're not going into recovery. If you ignore this stage, that level of exhaustion will turn into emotional detachment. And that brings us to sign number 2. But first, what can we do about this exhaustion? How can we get into that recovery state? So, what you can do is have a wind down ritual in the evening. Most people close their laptop, but they don't cut off that stress cycle. Their mind is still in that loop, in that working loop. So, tonight, try this 30 minutes before bed, no screens. Get out a piece of paper and write down the top 3 tasks for tomorrow on the paper, not on your phone, on a piece of paper. It's like a mental dump. Then take 5 slow breaths through the nose. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, and then exhale for 6 seconds. That longer exhale creates safety in your nervous system. It's a biological signal that you are safe. It takes you out of that fight or flight response. If you do that consistently over time, it gives your body a chance to exit that survival fight or flight mode and go into a deeper sleep. Now, the second sign is this emotional numbness or cynicism. This one is a little more subtle. You don't feel overwhelmed all the time. You feel detached. For me, it was a feeling of numbness. You care less about things. You respond to problems with sarcasm instead of being concerned. You get irritated by things that never seems to bother you, and you withdraw slightly from conversations. This isn't a personality shift, it's emotional self-protection. When your brain senses that everything is going into overload, it reduces the emotional intensity to conserve your energy. It's like dimming the lights to save power. But here's the danger. When you numb out the stress, you numb out the negativity, you also numb out the joy. If you leave this unchecked, this turns into resentment of others. And that resentment turns into full disengagement, if not complete social isolation. So what do you? You can reconnect without using productivity. Burnout often hits high achievers the hardest because everything needs to be optimized for performance, for productivity. So schedule one activity this week that has no outcome, no monetization attached, and no improvement or progress goal. It's purely out of creativity, purely out of fun, out of enjoyment. This can be difficult for high achievers. I found this very difficult at first. What was one thing I did just for fun? Going for a walk, playing music, singing in the shower, coloring outside of the lines, doing some free art drawing. Cook something new. Try something new. The rule is that you're not allowed to turn this into something you're gaining progress on, putting a metric of progress on. That joy and creativity, without linking its performance, reactivates your emotional range, and that protects you. Now, let's move on to the third sign, and this is where people start to panic. This is when you start working more, but accomplishing less. You extend your hours, but your output is dropping. Find yourself rereading the same email 3 times and it's still not clicking with you. You forget the simple details and you just have this mental fog, this brain fog. So, what do? You start working longer, which makes it worse. This is cognitive fatigue. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's responsible for focus and decision making, starts losing efficiency under chronic stress. Just like a blunt knife, the harder that you push it, the less sharp it becomes. And that becomes even more dangerous. This is the trap. Your identity might be tied to performance. So when you see performance drop, anxiety begins to rise. And that anxiety accelerates you into burnout. This is your intervention. You need to install protected focus blocks in your day. Instead of stretching your work across 10 hours of scattered multitasking, work in 60 to 90-minute deep work, deep focus blocks. No more multitasking. Switch off all notifications. No switching between tasks. You're going deep, all in on one task for 60 to 90 minutes. Then you take a real break. And that's not scrolling on your phone. This is a mental reset. Stand up, go for a walk, change your environment. High performance requires oscillation, not constant output. You are not designed for 10 hours of uninterrupted productivity. And ignoring that basic biological reality leads to sign number 4. So, sign number 4 is the physical symptoms start appearing. This is where burnout leaves being all in your head, being in the psychological realm, and enters with physical signs in your body. You start having frequent headaches. You start getting jaw tension and clenching of the jaw. You get digestive issues, tight shoulders, and a tight neck. And you start getting sick more often. Your body is keeping the score. Chronic stress increases inflammation. It weakens your immune response and it disrupts your gut. And here's the critical insight. When your body starts screaming, it means you've been ignoring the whispers from your mind. This stage is harder to reverse, but it's still manageable. So, what can you do? You can have daily nervous system regulation. This is you checking in with your body every day, 5 minutes minimum. That's it, 5 minutes to regulate your nervous system. Now, choose one. It can be the slow breathing we mentioned earlier, in through the nose for 4, hold for 4, and then exhale for 6. Do that 5 times. It could be going for a short walk outside, not scrolling on your phone, just uninterrupted, go for a short walk. Do some light stretching, get blood flowing, get it circulating in your body again. Or maybe it's starting with 5 minutes of fresh air. Go outside for 5 minutes in the morning, about 30 minutes after, in the first 30 minutes after waking up. It doesn't have to be sunlight. I'm in parts of the world where you do not get sunlight when you wake up in the morning. Getting outside and getting that fresh air, that exposure to fresh air outside within the first 30 minutes of the morning, these are not just wellness trends. These are biological signals of safety. And your nervous system needs consistent safety cues in order to regulate. Now, the fifth sign is when it gets a little more serious. And it's not about just stress. It's about meaning. So the fifth sign of burnout is when everything loses meaning. You start asking, what's the point? Achievements, they fall flat. Every goal feels forced, mechanical, and even the idea of success doesn't energize you. This is no longer about fatigue. It's disconnection. Burnout at this stage becomes an existential crisis. You're not just tired of working, you're tired of why you're working. And if you ignore this long enough, this is where people start to make impulsive life decisions, like a midlife crisis. It's not about, it's your body trying to make up for that safety mechanism that's been ignored for so long. So pause before you react, before you do that impulsive decision. This is the intervention you need. Conduct a meaning audit. You get out a piece of paper and answer these 4 questions. Why did I start on this path? What still matters? What feels draining but optional? And what can I remove instead of endure? Burnout isn't about needing a new life. It's about needing to subtract. You don't always need to reinvent your life. Sometimes you've just taken on more than your capacity, and you need to reduce the things that are overloading you. So let's put all of this together. Burnout whispers to you before it screams. It whispers through your mind before your body starts to scream. And if you don't respond when it's screaming, your body is going to bring you to a grinding halt. These are the 5 early signs. The exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. The emotional numbness or cynicism. your reduced performance despite working longer hours, the physical stress symptoms, and finally, that loss of meaning in everything you do. If you catch yourself in the first one or two, then that's good. That means you're early. And that early awareness gives you power. Burnout is not proof that you're weak. It's not your personal failure. I will drill this into you in every episode. Burnout is not a personal failure or flaw. It's proof that your system is not working for you any longer. And you've been running on fumes without leaving time for recovery. Strength, no matter how strong an engine is, if it's running on fumes for too long, if your foot's on the gas and you don't let off and let it cool down, then it's going to break. You need to give yourself that leeway. Listen to your body. Give yourself space to adjust. Give yourself time to recover. If this resonated with you, please let me know in the comments which sign felt most familiar to you. And if you want the next step, reach out to me. Send me the episode leeway with the episode number, and I'll send you a breakdown and summary of the action steps of this episode. Until next time, take care. I'll see you in the next one.